Alright people, it's time. Not only do I make fairly average models, I do make shit hot pickled onions. So the easiest way to peel a pickling onion, just turn the wrist around a bit, is to just cut the ends off as such, put them in the sink, because what you want to do is, oops, dropping them everywhere, because what you want to do is pour boiling water over the actual onion itself, which loosens the skin, which will bring the skin off. Oops, dropping more. So, bit of a story. I've been making pickled onions for, I'd probably say 15 years. I actually won a competition in a little town that I once lived in for my pickled onions. The competition was obviously between me and me, but I did alright. That was the first time I made them. I was very impressed. So yeah, I love pickled onions. I love I just like making my own stuff. My ex-missus, ex-fiance, she was a cook, and she was good. She was a very good cook. Couldn't cook a steak to save her life, but she was classically trained, so she was really good at certain things, like French stuff, you know, the classical type food. They call it beef Wellington. She made sensational gnocchi. But like I said, couldn't cook a steak to save herself, so I just have to cook all the steaks. But I made pickled onions for her once and she loved them. Raved about them. I also make beef jerky, which is one of my favourites. Just takes way too long. It costs a bit of money because beef's expensive. The sauces you make, you know, I pretty much only use soy, Worcestershire, Worcester, or whatever how people pronounce it. It's a bit like decals or decals. So yeah, so this is about a kilo of pickling onions. So this will make probably 4 jars worth. They're actually quite large onions, and depending on how these go, I might go buy a whole bunch of jars in the next couple of weeks, and probably 4 or 5 kilos of onions, and do another big batch. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks for these onions to be edible. Well, they're edible straight away, but you wouldn't want to. So what you do, I'll just pause this for a minute just after I've done this last onion, get rid of all these scraps. Gotta love your global knives, people. These are sensational, nice and sharp. Speaking of knives, my mum went to Japan, and knowing how much I love cooking, and knowing that the Japanese make the best knives, got me this Japanese knife. Not sure if you can see the actual, let me see. Come behind the camera to see if you can see it. You can't really see it, but it's Japanese writing just there. So yeah, bloody sharp knife. You can hear it. Very sharp. Don't use it all that often. I use it for special things, It's a beautiful knife, perfectly weighted knife, like really perfectly weighted. So anyway, I'll pause this video and just do what I need to do. So I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so like I said, best way to do this is with boiling water. So what I'm doing, I'm just boiling the kettle. You can't see what I've just pointed at because I'm not that smart. Boiling the kettle. There we go. Little old Easter egg. And one that Mum could not resist popping for me is the upside down Humpty Dumpty. So she likes to put me a Humpty Dumpty since I was about 4 years old, so there's a lot of Humpty Dumpty's been eaten. And when making pickled onions, you always need to have an emu export. So I believe the kettle's boiled. Just pour over the onions as so. You only need them there for a couple of minutes. Just to loosen the skin. Just leave that there for a minute. How many people, seriously, how many people have one of those wrapped around their backsides growing up? The old wooden spoon. I know I broke Mum's a couple of times, but obviously I would have deserved it. So now I just let the water out of the sink, put some cold water in. It just makes it a bit easier for you to handle. And as you can see, skin just peels off. Well, the hardest skin just peels off. I'll just turn this off. Always have a bag handy to put your scraps in. So it makes it easy to do what you need to do when you need to do it, i.e. cleaning up at the end of this. So I'm using to put the salt. Hang on, let me just move this camera around a bit. Oh, wrong one. Oh. What I'm using to put the onions in for the I'll just get a paring knife, make it easier. What I'm doing, put the onions in, is a cereal container. To so what I need to do is put salt water. So what I do, I just get all these onions skinned first, then use a bit of salt water. So I need about 4 teaspoons or tablespoons of salt and a couple of cups of water, just to make sure the onions are covered. And then I just need to put a lid on them and leave them overnight. And then tomorrow I get to do the worst part of this, which stinks out anywhere you live or anything, is making the actual pickle juice, which has obviously pickling spices, vinegar, what else? Pickling spices, vinegar, sugar, and that's about it. You've got to boil that for about 15 minutes and it stinks. It's horrible. So you burn as much incense as you possibly can to get rid of that horrible smell. So, as I said at the start of this video, not only do I make average scale models, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, I also have another YouTube channel, which is Simon's Journey to Scale Modelling Greatness. It's really ridiculous title for a video, for a YouTube channel, but it's all for a bit of a laugh, really. Scale modelling is a very new hobby to me. I did a couple when I was a kid, but I've only just really taken it up, and I've done quite a few now. I've done what, 5 or 6. Bit about me: I've just finished a degree in psychology and addiction studies. That was a 3-year degree through Edith Cowan University in Perth, Western Australia. I've now decided, because I like studying so much, which I never thought I'd ever say, I'm I applied and was accepted into 4 law schools, to do a Bachelor of Laws. Those law schools were Edith Cowan, Charles Darwin, which is obviously in Darwin, University of Southern Queensland, and University of New England. I've had a look at all the universities. Edith Cowan, not a big fan of. It's extremely left-wing centric, like all universities are, but I've found this to be ridiculously left-wing. So I decided on University of New England. So start this degree on the 28th of June, so the day after my birthday. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I currently work in a bottle shop, which is quite ironic considering I've got a degree in addictions. I like a beer. I've served in the Royal Australian Navy and the Northern Territory and West Australian Police Force. I'll always put the best police force first. West Australian Police left a lot to be desired for the way it treated its people. If anyone here is West Australian Police Officer, I'm sorry if you disagree, but I hated it. And I've spoken to people that have served in West Australian Police, New South Wales Police, Victoria Police, West Australian Police, pretty much all the different police forces, and they all agree West Australian Police is far from a family. But anyway, that's all over with now. Yeah, so I've got a couple more onions to peel. Then I'll get the saltwater brine happening. So I'll come back when that's all getting done. So I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, so the next thing. For some reason, salt's got a best before date. Not something I'd think salt should have, so I'll put all that into the sink while I do this step. So I need to do 1/4 cup of salt. Now, where's my cups? Very good. 1/3 cup. 2/3 cup. 3/4 cup of a cup. What's this one? 1/4 cup. Right, so we do 1/4 cup of salt. Seems like quite a lot of salt, really. God. There we go. 1/4 cup. Sodium chloride. Yep. Put the lid back on that one. Oh dear. So 1/4 cup of salt. Then I need, I think, 4 cups. And 4 cups of water. It's meant to be in a large glass bowl, but I don't have a glass bowl. Cups of water. Like so. That's 3. until it dissolves. Salt water, good stuff. Got an ulcer on the inside of your mouth. Awesome stuff. Is it all dissolved? It's fairly dissolved to me. A bit more of a stir. Have a sip of beer while I'm doing it. Put the onions in. There we go. Put the lid on. Now, let's leave them be until tomorrow morning. I might put a little bit more water in. Leave that all again until tomorrow morning when I come home from having to do what I have to do at work. Do a little bit more water. Probably actually could. Oops. There we go. Yep, we'll leave that overnight and come back to it tomorrow. So until then, I will see you all later.